This stream contains fast flashing images that may affect viewers who are susceptible to photosensitive epilepsy or other photosensitivities. Viewer discretion is advised. The clock is ticking and 4 teams are fighting to secure a spot in the playoffs and a chance at Masters Shanghai. Hello and welcome to the final day of VCT Americas Super Week. Do we there no explosion? Yes! Nice. We did it. The gimmick continues forward. We did it, guys. Comedy, it works when you keep doing it. All right, guys, we're coming at you live. Words are hard from the Riot Games Arena right here in Los Angeles. We're excited, though. Of course, Golden Boy alongside with Athena. You got Mimi and Ender as well to break it all down. And, you know, guys, let's just jump right into it, shall we? Why don't we go and talk about what happened yesterday here on this stage? Because a lot happened. Emotions were had, and Potter, at the end of the day, got that last laugh. And who would have thunk it? It would come at the expense of the Sentinels, Mimi. I would not have seen this one coming.
Yeah, I mean, it was a ridiculous match through and through. It started off with Jaw dominating an incredibly cold first half of Lotus. Then they choked that game.
And then it was mod check Jaw after that for a map.
And they were down 10-2 on Sunset to bring it back and win the whole series.
The most insane series I've seen in a long time. When you look at like the standings of the teams heading into it, and then also just the actual comebacks on those first 2 maps, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm just excited for Potter to walk away and just say that she's still undefeated against all those people. So.
And that second game was just kind of a walk in the park for NRG.
Yeah.
I mean,
there was a second
couple.
Game?
There was, in fact, a couple sloppy moments from them, but all in all, they cleaned up MIBR pretty well and got a nice, solidly confident win.
Yeah, I would say NRG, a lot to be, you know, excited about if you're an NRG fan, just because you wanted them to come out, just look good. That's exactly what they did. There's still so much more to fight for here. We got 6 teams that are going to be fighting for those playoff slots. So let's go ahead and take a look at our standings and where we are right now with the Alpha and Omega groups. So, you know, just to... I feel bad even continuing to reiterate this, but unfortunately, Brazil just on the struggle bus once again. Population 3. It's these 3 teams, Loud, Furia, and MIBR, just struggling, guys, to be able to find those dubs.
The hope of Brazil is on today's match for Loud against G2. They have been struggling thus far, but this is a very winnable game for them and a chance for the region to bounce back.
The other thing you have to remember is that you must win minimum 2 games in order to qualify for playoffs, right? So the top 3 teams from both groups will go on, unless Omega can't find a 3rd team to get that second win. That would open up another slot in Alpha Group, which would be great news for a team like Sentinel sitting at the bottom.
Yeah, right now, Sentinels at the bottom, by the way. That's real. They're 2-2, but everyone else in Alpha is also owning right now. So they're in, honestly, kind of a scary position.
Yeah, I mean, seeing Karoo being on top of the scoreboard is not something that I genuinely expected.
Undefeated, baby!
Undefeated, 3-0. They are looking so good. And so for me, I feel like I'm so excited to see all these teams play. Les and Loud, they need to get back into form, and that's what I'm looking for today.
And sorry, I said Loud playing G2, but it's, of course, that crew match later, which it's a chance for crew to maintain their undisputed run thus far. But this first one, too, is probably going to be a tough game for G2, playing up against a Lev that is looking in incredible form, GB.
Yeah, this is a scary situation for G2, who, you know, all these teams are going to be fishing for these wins as much as they possibly can. And then, of course, that last matchup, which we had talked about just a second ago, can crew continue their reign of dominance in stage 1, which is not a sentence that I thought I'd say out loud, you know, in our year of 2024. In any case, though, folks, when you're not watching us, there's a ton of content on our YouTube channel. Like, you know, there's a series called Common Ground. It's actually quite good. Now, in this new episode, Osbos and Giacomo explain what it's like to reach the biggest heights in all of Valorant. Check it out.
I mean, when did you take a step back and go, I am currently the best in the world?
I think already when I came back to Brazil, my father, he came driving to get me. And then we came back driving like 6 hours to go home.
Yeah.
They were really happy. They congratulated me. The days that I got in São Paulo first, I was with my wife. And it was really good to see how happy she was. Yeah. And then the next day, I got the banner and the
title or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just put it, I take a screenshot.
Put it on Twitter.
Put it on Twitter.
I get it.
Yeah. I called my boy Sassy to play some duels. And then...
And he was down?
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
One of my friend recorded my girlfriend and my mom and dad. My girlfriend was crying. I just never seen her cry like that before. So I was like, wow, like that's what it meant to feel for other people, you know, like.
Yeah.
And I thought he was gonna enjoy the moment, but he was like, this is a moment that you'll never ever get to see because she's in the stage, like she's in the crowd or whatever, and you're on the stage. So that was the most heartwarming thing I ever had. My mom and dad, they see me achieve so much stuff when I was little, but they're like, she came to my apartment, she was like, you did it, son. You made it. Like, we're so happy for you. Like, we're just glad to see you on that big stage and you accomplished something that you've been dreaming of for so many years. And
did that make it more real for you?
Yeah, that.
Like when your parents said that in your apartment?
Yeah. Because when they drove over in the little car that my uncle had, they really made me recognize, like, you've been grinding for this, but don't forget where you came from. Don't forget what you've done.
And we face it, we face it. Come on, whatever type we face.
I can 100% relate to that. Very good piece. Make sure you check it out.
To winning
You're a world champion?
No, just knowing where you came from.
True.
See, look at that. You guys
were
going to make a joke, and I was keeping it real.
No, hold on. You're always wearing these different shirts that say Los Angeles, Brooklyn, Las Vegas. Where are you from?
Baby, I'm from the Bronx, the boogie down, okay? I got a little bit of that South Side, man. You never forget where you come from. But in any case, though, let's go ahead and move on to our first matchup. We're going to talk about G2 Esports. Now, here's the thing. They were able to bounce back after that, loss to 100 Thieves. They took down Furia with ease, but again, I think it's not to knock on Furia here, Myrna, but, that I think was a matchup that when you look at G2, they should have won on paper, and they did.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I was worried about G2 was they looked a little bit out of form, but going into this, it looked like they worked on their fundamentals. We've spoken previously about how they've been this kind of power of friendship team, and I feel like they really, really managed to show up. Trent had a really great showing. All these players all together really put up a really good fight against Furia.
Crucially for me, though, they didn't win off of, like, one insane individual performance. They didn't necessarily win by just outgunning Furia. I actually thought it was a very well-called game on Lotus in particular. Valen was still calling a very slow, respectful style, did a great job at punishing when Furia was kind of going for these pushes in the mid-round, still calling out a lot of the fakes, a lot of these more complicated ideas that have become the identity for G2, and seeing that and also their late-round fundamentals in form has me feeling solid about this team, but it still was against Furia.
It's feeling better, and I think it's important to give that credit because I don't want to revise history. Yeah. Like, when we were coming into that matchup, like, I honestly was like, G2 have been looking forward. This might be a close match, and they proved that it wasn't. And that's what we needed to see out of them to actually be, okay, maybe this team has more fight in them. Maybe this team has the ability to push upper in the standings.
For sure. I feel like their protocols were so textbook and played extremely well. The execution of a lot of their plays, especially their mid-rounding, was just phenomenal. And I feel like that's something that I was waiting for G2 to kind of do. And so I think they really pulled it out against Furia.
And that's the confidence win that they needed after a rough loss to 100 Thieves the week before.
Yeah, you need that because when you go into those matches with the mindset, it's like, okay, this is one that we cannot lose. You kind of get in your own head about it. But I think against Furia, like, they knew we just need to do what we need to do. And Valen was crushing it out there as well. Was slaying, and on top of that, calling a great game. But for more on all of that goodness, let's go ahead and send it over to Elizabeth, who's standing by with the man himself, Valen.
Hello, gentlemen. All right, where is he? Where is he? Valen, I see you. I'm gonna stop you right there. All right, so I don't know. Did you see my half interview with your girlfriend, Lenice?
Yeah, I did.
All right, well, thoughts on that, and what is it like having such a supportive partner?
Thoughts on that? I mean, I thought it was cool because I turned left and, like, I saw her. Funny enough, Trent was like, Jake, look to your left, and I looked right, and my whole team was clowning me, but I was already looking left, so I'm like, I'm already looking there. I didn't know I had to turn my shoulder. But it's really nice, like, she helps me. Sometimes I'm feeling a little anxious for a match, or maybe I'm not excited enough, and she always tries to, like, get me feeling like, that perfect level. So I love her, and I couldn't do it without her, so I appreciate her a lot.
All right, well, best of luck.
Well, that's just heckin' wholesome. Okay.
Every time I listen to Valen speak, I'm shocked that he's not, like, 35 and has been playing Valorant for, like, 19 years. He's got
you mean Valorant hasn't been out for 19 years?
But he should
That's
be.
What you think.
What?
Oh, man. All right. Well,
he's just so mature. It's crazy.
It is. And we're a big fan of Valen on this desk, always and forever. But that being said, though, let's go ahead and dive into some matchups, shall we? Because there's a big one on the table here today. You got Aspas, one of the greatest duelists in the world, facing off against Icy, who Ender's coming into this one, running the gamut against some of the best in the region.
Yeah, and to be honest, this is a lopsided matchup. As lopsided as they come, especially looking at Ospas's recent performance. But I think what was nice to see from Icy finally was him come up and go pause in a game. Like that series against Furia, he actually showed up and was the Icy that was promised from G2.
But it was against Furia.
This is true.
And now they're playing against a Leviatán who looks to be the team in the best form
right now
out of everyone in the league. And we need to see so much more from this guy. The team keeps talking about the fact that they just need him to do his job, to entry and set up for their ideas. And that's true. But when you're against a team the caliber of Lev, you also need an individual who is going to go out and win you some of those rounds like Ospas does so consistently. And I'm not sure if he's that guy yet.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like the difference between Icy and Ospas is Icy needs so much more setup in order to give him the confidence to kind of push into those spaces. Whereas I feel like Ospas, world-class duelist. Like, he will take the space by himself. He will play aggressive. He will shut it down and make sure the other team doesn't get the firepowers and the frags and the 1v1s that a lot of these players do give sometimes.
Yeah, and when we talked to Tex, we heard him comparing himself when he was playing Duelist to Ospas, and he was just impressed with how fewer resources Ospas needs. He does so much on his own and is so successful even without that level of support.
Yeah, and I think so much of that you heard from Tex as well, talking about how Ospas is able to mask his movements in a pre-round behind Lev's defaults, right? Like, he's always coming from a new place, and I think that is really what has unlocked Ospas. Obviously, he's got the talent, but the way he has put himself inside what Lev is doing round to round is really what allows him to have those insane performances.
Yeah, his movements around the map are insane. I 100% agree with you, because it takes a lot for duelists to kind of show themselves on one side of the map and be able to set up at a different angle where they can still give enough information for their team to rotate around them. And Ospas does an amazing job at that. And you can tell that he doesn't need anyone else to guide him through those motions.
And that's why they pay him the big bucks. Honestly, I mean, the guy is absolutely unreal here. But let's go ahead, though, and move on to his team. We got Leviatán, who are looking so scary these last few days. Scary for the rest of the field, if I'm being completely honest with y'all, with how they're playing. And they have taken down some big, heavy hitters here, Mimi. This is a whole different team than what we saw from Kickoff even at the start of the season.
After that Cloud9 game, everyone was doomer, but they've gone and beaten Sentinels and NRG back-to-back, which is incredible. This NRG game in particular was a masterclass. In particular, the Lotus defensive side was excellent. They had so many different looks of how they wanted to play there, setting up so many different trap plays over towards A, constantly hiding their strong side and forcing NRG to continually call into these heavy sites and just get eviscerated.
It was beautiful to watch, not just how King sort of puppet mastered NRG around the map, but then also once he put NRG right into the trap, he is just absolutely frying with the rifle as well. He was putting up numbers in that series, not just as the brains of the op.
I feel like it was so crazy watching it happen, because genuinely it was like a movie. Like, every single time they heard a single sound, the trap play was ready, the protocol was there, everyone was swinging and fighting, all the util was being thrown. They had layers to each one of their trap plays. Even though if they're on defense, they're using util past the barriers. It was insane to watch.
The POV of which team you're on dictates what movie you're watching. If it's Lev, it's the heroic war movie, and if it's NRG, an absolute horror film with all the worst, the goblins and ghouls coming around the corners. Literally, what Lev were doing to them was so sick.
And I think people will cope, oh, it was a bad day for NRG, they weren't playing very good. And that's true, but both need to be true. You need a top-level performance of a team playing at their best, and some struggles for a game like that should have been so close to end up a stomp like it was. But that doesn't take away from how good of form Lev are in right now. This is going to be a very scary match for G2.
If you are able to take the task to a team like NRG the way that Leviatán did, regardless of the bad game or not, I mean, come on, you know, like, you got to give him the flowers there. It has been so impressive. But here's another fascinating thing here, because Leviatán has someone on their roster that G2 is quite familiar with. Ooh. It's that guy right there. It's Tex, because they have a bit of a history with him, and there's certainly something there. There's maybe a little bit of a blood feud happening. You know?
I don't know if I would even call it
that. It's a
that.
wrestling term.
Sure, but for G2, when they were the guard, when they were on their excellent run in 2023, the one change they made was Saya player gone, moving back to Pacific, and picking up Tex, and he was great for them. Their primary duelist, the boys were together. They always talked about how they took the risk to stay as the guard, to continue to be this team. And they inevitably went on that run to make it to Ascension. And when things went down the way they did, he ended up going a different direction towards Lev now. And this is going to be a real chance for them to play up against each other and kind of have that history.
Yeah, the first time that they will be able to play against each other since they didn't face off during kickoff. So I think both sides are going to be coming into this one. Definitely for the score, obviously, but also to settle the score.
I mean, also the pressure is kind of on Valen too, because when you've played on a team with an IGL, like, you know how that IGL calls.
That's
you
so
know
true.
how they mid-round. So it's kind of like, does Valen have to switch it up, or have they changed enough and gone further from the point that they were that long ago? But I don't know. Speaking from my experience as an IGL, everyone knows how I call if they've played with me. They know what kind of stuff I call, how I mid-round, how I protocol, and kind of how I read the game. So I think
there's that extra mental element to the game.
There's like a big mental element. And Tex even tweeted today, he's like, playing against my exes today. And I was like,
that's actually pretty awesome. All right. Well, you know, I'm glad you mentioned that. Let's go ahead and hear from Tex. He's actually going to be standing by with Elizabeth.
Tex, I'm gonna hold you back for a little bit. Thank you. All right, so simple kind of vibe check question. What are the vibes going into today now that you're facing your former team?
My team feels very locked in. They seem very focused today. They really want to win for me, and I can tell just by the vibes. Everyone is very, like, just focused.
Well, danke, as they say in Germany.
All right, well, we'll see how that all plays out here. But Aspas and his kill records, of course, get the headlines, as they usually do. But there's one individual who we got to give some love to. That's Mazzino. This guy has been a silent killer for this team and has been stepping up big time for Leviatán, Mimi.
You think about old crew, and it wasn't just Kesnet, it was the duo of Kesnet and Mazzino. And this guy, I think, has fallen out of the conversation when he's joined a team with so many superstars, but he's been consistently delivering in the NRG game in particular. He was doing nasty things on Bind, winning a lot of these clutches and constantly finding multi-kills while anchoring on the Brimstone.
Yeah, I feel like a really big thing to talk about too is how he switches up his role and still performs no matter what he's playing.
Yeah, he's playing initiator and controller.
Exactly. On that breach, the way that he capitalizes on his own util is insane.
How hard is it to switch between those
roles?
It
is hard because there's so many small mechanical elements that you will obviously, once you're playing that much, you learn, you get to understand how it goes. But then it's a whole different play style. When you're playing controller, you have to play a little bit more passive because if you die first, you don't have enough smokes for the rest of your team. But then if you're playing that flash initiator, like, you need that util to support your team as well as be able to fight up by yourself. And I feel like he does such a good job at balancing both roles in this team.
Yeah, this team wouldn't be able to play as many different comps and different maps as they are, I think, without Mazzino's flexibility.
Yeah, it has been beautiful to watch and to see Leviatán put everything together. But for more on Leviatán, let's actually send it over to Ender. He's got himself a little bit of a telly.
I'm right here, guys, and yes, we are going to be looking at how King uses his early round aggression to puppet master NRG or whoever he's playing against into really awful positions that Lev can set up with a trap play. So the first thing I want us to watch here in round 3, the bonus for Leviatán, is what they actually do at the start. It's a huge dive play here where they're going to step into main with Mazzino, throw a fault line there, a paranoia here, and we've got Aspas jumping forward on that raise. And this is to sort of pinch these players over in towards A, and they're going to do it with something a little bit unique. Check this out. Early camera goes down into main. If you want to see that on the map, it's right over here. And what it does is effectively locks down this cross. The toughest point on Sunset to actually get through as an attacker is A main. And because NRG actually reacts to the dive going down in mid, instead of quickly scaling into that A main, the camera ends up not getting broken. NRG make the call, instead of accelerating into what is very likely a Cypher trap over on the A site, that they actually want to go back into B and re-clear all of the space they lost early into the round. But this is where things go wrong for NRG, because Leviatán anticipates exactly what is happening. The important timer to look at with the fault line is 40 seconds. So when you use the fault line at a minute 40, right, that means at 1 minute, that's when the fault line is going to be coming back up. And because this camera was never broken, NRG are anticipating that Mazzino is going to go all the way back around and set up a trap off of that camera in about 25 seconds time. time. Leviatán anticipate this thought, however, and actually start rotating back over into the B site. You can see actually the Gecko Tex is actually rotating all the way back over here, and Lev are going to have set up 4 players ready for this exec to come in. By the time the camera gets broken, it's way too late in the round, and Lev are here 4 stacked, ready to go and to shut down NRG. The spike getting abandoned out in the open, it's an absolute disaster for NRG. But it gets worse 2 rounds later, because in this one, we again have NRG walking into a trap, and it's with Leviatán showing a ton of presence early on. Again, we have an Omen one-way going here, a Boombot sent out, a fault line, and it tells you B aggression. But Leviatán aren't actually stepping into B main. Check this out. Ospas is going to come back into market, and importantly, in just a couple seconds, he dodges away from a knife that sees the breach, but not the raise. So NRG think there's still a raise inside of B main, and their call is, let's accelerate up into top mid and see if we can pinch in and get behind that Cypher setup over on the A site. But Leviatán anticipate this. They're waiting for it, ready to spring this trap against an NRG. They're full contacting into a smoke. There's 2 players there, and also people jumping out of market as well. So the spike gets hopelessly abandoned in mid as NRG fall into yet another trap. It's so many of these moments in a series like this where Leviatán will show you early aggression and push you into different areas, because what's really NRG going to do? If they don't fight against this heavy setup into B main, they're walking into Cypher and getting owned, or they're walking into this mid trap and getting owned. It is so hard to play against a Leviatán that is setting up so nicely like they are in this last series, and really why Leviatán ran away with that one. But you know, that was me kind of nerding out for a little bit. We've got some other nerds that are ready to play a little bit of a game. So let's send it over to Mimi now.
That's right, Christy. We have something fun prepared for you guys. It's once again time for VCT America's beloved game show. Are you smarter than a gold player? Welcome back. Folks, this is going to be a great day. We have a wonderful contestant in front of us, ready to play a game in 4 different categories. We've got Golden Boy out in the audience. He's standing by with a gold player to help her out. Let's meet our contestant, though. Mirna, please introduce yourself. Who are you? Where are you from?
It's me. I'm Athena. I am Egyptian, also Canadian. And I'm a former professional player in Game Changers, so I hope that I'm smarter than a gold player.
You should be pretty smart.
I really hope so.
How much VALORANT do you think you played?
Way too much. Thousands of hours.
Thousands of hours.
Literally.
Well, she should crush this one. We have 4 questions standing by and a massive prize if she gets it right. But it's not just her. We have some help standing by in the audience. So let's go over to Golden Boy and meet our gold player.
That's right, Mimi. We're joined here today by our gold player. We got, what's your name? Where are you from?
My name is Henry. I'm from Orange County.
Woo! Henry from Orange County. Give it up for him.
Let's go, Henry.
So, what is your rank?
I'm currently Gold 2.
Gold 2. Look at that. It's almost as if we planned it for the bit. Okay, Mimi, take it away.
You're laughing at him.
I didn't mean to laugh.
And he's going to help you.
I'm sorry. No, Henry, you got me. No. We got each other, right?
Well, Henry, one of the smartest minds we could find. The smartest mind we could find in the Riot Games arena today. Let's get into, though, our very first question. Athena, it's Iron Records to start. And the question is, Ospas broke the kill record in week 2. How many kills did he get?
47.
47, your answer. You're confident on that?
Yeah.
Let's see how good her memory is, and let's check in if our gold player has a different answer. Golden Boy?
All right, so we got a Ospas kill record. How many kills did he get?
He did indeed at 47.
Okay,
47.
let's go, Henry.
All right, what do you got, Mimi?
Our gold player and our pro player are aligned on that one. Let's check the answer. It's 47. Congratulations.
That's me and you, Henry.
A great start, but that's only 1 out of 4. Let's move on to our second question, the bronze question here. And this one, of course, is simple. No one's ever gotten this wrong on this show before. How many seconds does it take to defuse the spike?
7.
7. Our gold player. He really should be aligned on this one.
I hope, right?
All right, let's see. Henry, how long does it take to defuse the spike?
7 seconds.
Let's go.
7 seconds. I don't know what's going on over here, Mimi. Are they right?
The gold players, they're just so smart. Well, let's check our answer. And Mirna, our gold player, everyone, we're absolutely correct. It's 7 seconds. Was that too easy?
Maybe.
Let's move on. Let's get a little bit harder. We're going to go into our silver agents question now.
Oh, no.
The question is, which agent has only been selected once in VCT Americas Stage 1?
My girl Deadlock.
You're locking in deadlock.
Locked in deadlock.
Right. She's locked in. Let's stand by and check with our gold player.
All right, Henry, what's the answer here, buddy?
I'm going to just have to go with deadlock 2.
We're going with deadlock 2. No independent thoughts over here, Mimi.
No disagreement, no thoughts, head empty. That's exactly what we want to see from a gold 2 player. Let's check the answer. And our gold player and Mirna are, of course, correct. Deadlock, played by Sadak. 3 for 3. We're crushing it out here. That cash prize on the line. $12 million. Remember, Henry.
Wait, there's $12 million?
There is. Just got that approved. Let's move on to our final question.
I don't think that's true.
Gold Classic. And the question is, who leads Americas in Classic kills? Athena.
Okay, all right.
You can check with our gold player first if you need.
Yeah, I'm gonna do a lifeline. Henry, you got me?
Okay, what do we got?
Henry.
Most classic kills. Who you got? No one help him.
I'm just going to go with the Send Classic bundle himself, Mr. Zelsis.
Ooh,
you know
Zelsis.
Zelsis, a good guess. Do you believe Henry?
I like the answer. I think we go with Zelsis. I believe.
After all you've been through, you trust him.
I trust Henry. Henry trusted me.
$12 million on the line.
Do I have to split it?
That's up to you. How good of a person are you?
No,
and
Henry.
Are you correct?
No, I'll hook you up. No, we're going Zelsis.
That's legally binding. And the answer is Sen, John QT, and Sen Zelsis are tied.
Wow.
What does this mean for the show?
Do I get it?
Yo, hold on. Jury's out on this one. We need a... Golden Boy, I'm hearing we need to check with the audience.
Well, all right, we need to check with the audience. Did they get it right? Yes or no? Yes? Yes? It seems like the crowd here says yes, Mimi. Good
Folks,
news that we
it
have
seems
the
like we
Monopoly
have
money
done
ready
it.
to go.
Congratulations to our gold player. Congratulations to Athena. $12 million going your way. What does this moment mean for you?
Oh my goodness, I'm so proud. $12 million. This is my check.
And what does this mean for our gold player? Let's see. I don't know. I'm sure he's really happy. But that's it. Congratulations once again. It was an amazing performance. But let's get on to things. Our first match of the day and head into our map select with our coaches. Thanks so much.
Howdy guys, welcome. As you know, teams were decided via coin flip. Lev will be Team A and GT will be Team B. You have first map ban.
We want to split.
Lev ban split. GT, what would you like to ban?
We'll ban Sunset.
GT ban Sunset. And what map would you like to pick?
We pick Breeze.
Lev pick Breeze. And would you like attack or defense?
Attack.
G2 select attack. And what map would you like?
We'll pick Icebox.
G2 pick Icebox. And would you like attack or defense?
Attack.
Lev select attack. And you have one map ban.
We ban Ascent.
Lev ban Ascent. And what would you like to ban?
We ban Bind.
G2 ban Bind. Decider map will be Lotus, and Lev, you have side select.
We play attack.
Lev select attack. All right, best of luck today, boys.
Good luck.
All right, so there you have it, and look at that, the power of transportation. I'm here, you know, we made it here.
Did you take the train or your legs?
No, it was like teleportation or whatever.
That's sick.
You know?
Snap, like Yoru.
I mean, guys, we have a $12 million budget, didn't you hear?
Wait a minute.
No, never mind. Oh, that's right, it's Monopoly money. So sorry about that, everyone.
There was a disclaimer there the whole time.
Okay, so what do we have here? We end up having a Breeze, Icebox, and our last one. Thank you so much, Mirna. Lotus. Okay, so that's what we have here. How are we feeling about this overall series layout? Do you think that there is an opportunity here for G2 to maybe create an upset opportunity here, Mimi?
I think it's going to be really difficult, especially starting on Breeze. I have a feeling that that Lev are banking on the fact that Icebox can diff Icy on Breeze. It's a very jet-heavy map. It is a map where kind of getting those opening engagements, getting those starters on your duels are so important, and Icebox has just been lights out in that respect compared to an Icy who's been struggling this season.
And look, I completely agree with you, but I do have some irony that I have to get the precise numbers on here because
you don't even know your own irony?
No, I literally wanted to look up because I'm like, surely Loud's win rate on jet maps is significantly worse than their non-jet maps, you would imagine. But then on jet maps, which they play Icebox and Breeze, wait, that's the later series. Oh my God!
He was the real gold player all along.
Oh my God!
What do you make of this layout?
I'm bold.
Yo, I think G2 can actually run away with Icebox. I think that Trent.
Yeah?
That's it.
Just the clutches, late rounds.
Trent Silva on Icebox was so good that I genuinely believe they have a strong fundamental side on that Icebox. But
That's fair.
Like, if they do team together strong, I think they have a good mentality for it. I don't know. Lev has firepower, but G2 has good
What
team
they
play.
said.
Yeah, what
But
they
Lev
said.
also has team
That's
play.
why they pay you the big bucks.
If G2 can win this, though, it would be an insane upset, but it's going to be very difficult with Lev in this form.
Indeed, it will be. But let's go ahead and close out Super Week with a bang, baby. Yeah! Hey. We got it. VCT Americas starts right now.
He has a flash to set him up if they want to go for this one. Ult come in and fight.
Desde atrás King acaba con la vida del robot, rompe la definitiva, Mautino prevalece tremendo.
The G2 match is a little personal, but I wouldn't say directly to the players. I would say it's more towards the org of G2.
Claro, eran su ex equipo, lo sacaron y nada. Creo que todos en el equipo van a tener muchas ganas de aplastar a G2 realmente para tener ahí a nuestro compa el Tex, y el Tex también va a ir con set de sangre. Todos vamos a ir a demostrarle lo que somos y básicamente lo que se perdieron.
It's going to be really weird being on the opposite stage of my old teammates.
He's still like one of my good friends. We talk a lot, so I'm excited to compete against him, and I know he wants his revenge, but I also want to shut him down.
Spike planted. One enemy remaining.
Valent's a very smart IGL. I know how he calls, like I know like the ins of his mind. I'm sure he's evolved a lot since then, of course, but I can kind of use it against him a little bit. Hopefully he sees this before the game, so now you know I'm in your head.
Riot Games Arena, llegamos al último día de esta super semana. Le damos la bienvenida a Leviatán. Let's bring out their opponents. Make some noise for G2 Esports.
Forget about what you heard, probably ain't true. This ain't go-to, cause you know it's G2. Can't be called a newcomer. We've been up for several summers, seeking how to step in commas. If you with us, buy the bundle. Say you should buy the bundle. Barely time to buy the bundle. For this ton of errors rumble, cause you know we titans in this game. Ain't no contest. If we take it to the game, turn a Wild West. We ain't faking what I claim, it's a wild threat. No rook, we been a vet. Now check the mindset, by the name of G2. How to take over the world, how we come through. You just follow in the herd, we don't have to. Best forget about what you heard, probably ain't true. This ain't go-to, cause you know it's G2. How to take over the world, how we come through. You just follow in the herd, we don't have to. Best forget about what you heard, probably ain't true. This ain't go-to, cause you know it's G2. Can't be called a newcomer. We've been up for several summers, seeking how to step in commas.
Leviatán wants to continue to prove that they are the monster of the Americas region. Meanwhile, G2 Esports have an opportunity here. We talked about it yesterday with MIBR maybe being able to pull off the upset, maybe pulling some inspiration from what we saw from EG. Obviously, different circumstances, different opponents enter. But if there's one thing that we've learned about this Super Week is that, honestly, anything is really possible.
Look, anything is possible, but this is also Leviatán, who I think is looking like our hottest best team at the moment off of the heavy hitters.
But what happens if G2 comes out of the gate swinging and Leviatán get rattled? Do you think that is that could be a potential?
The players are so experienced on this roster. I don't really expect that to happen. In my mind right now, I'm kind of writing off that Cloud9 game. It was the first of their season. They came out, they stumbled, and they've looked incredible since.
I mean, they talked about how they fixed their fundamentals off of that loss. So I feel like that loss, yeah, it may have been just a bad day, but also they needed that to become the team version that they are today. So I think it's going to be really good. And actually, I never talked about this, but for a short period of time, I had Ito Fata as my coach on an org that we shall not name. And I know that his prep is dangerously good. Everything is very thought out. So going into these maps specifically against G2, where you might have techs understanding how VALORANT calls, I think it's really scary.
See, I think that's interesting too, especially because we're starting things out on Breeze. And the last time we saw G2 play this was 2 months ago, right? But before Icy era, they were playing Leaf on the Yoru. They were playing a Harbor as a second Smokes. And since then, I think a lot of teams that are playing the Yoru still have a Jet alongside them. If you're playing a second Smoker, it's usually something like an Astra, right? So you can get those circle smokes and do a little comboing with that Yoru. And I'm really wondering what it means for G2 as a team. Like, do we see Leaf going into a Cypher role? Or are they playing something more like a Gen G and going no Senti?
Yeah, that is a big question. And I think kind of following up off of that, it's all surrounding Icy. If they're playing into this map, it's very likely that he's playing into the Jet role unless they go for a very weird composition, or at least a slightly different off-meta one than what most of these teams are bringing. Then there's questions around him, right? He's yet to have that standout game that we were promised.
Yeah, and speaking of the Jet roles, when we've seen Ospas on that defense side, he's done such a great job with that operator, which I feel is a must for a map like Breeze. And when you put that up against Icy, I don't know 100% if he's going to be able to do the same amount of damage on that operator.
I think I know 100% that he's not going to be able to do the same amount of damage. Ospas is the best player in the league.
Yeah. Without a doubt here, Agent Select now starting to come through. We'll see what we end up getting locked in for both sides here. But I am quite interested. You guys raise a really good point. G2's kind of coming into this one as an unknown quantity here, which could be something that works to their advantage, potentially, if they try and throw a spanner into the works. But that being said, again, we keep reiterating it. It's going to be tough to pull that off against Leviatán of all teams.
Yeah, and really, I'm just waiting to see what we get Leaf walking in here, because I think
that'll tell us where we're going.
This would be a great map to see if they wanted to play the double duelist. But with VALORANT looking over towards the Harbor, that seems maybe a little bit less likely to me. Harbor sort of helps you in your scaling a lot of the time with those push walls, which makes having double dive maybe slightly unnecessary.
Yeah, I think the thing about having double controller on this map is the amount of fakes and mid-rounding that you can do gives you just so many more options. And for someone like VALORANT, who loves to mid-round call around these things, I think it's going to work out great for G2.
And with Leaf locking the Cypher, that means Icy is going to be on that primary duelist, being the solo dive player in this composition.
Still remains to be seen whether or not that is the Yoru like they were running previously with Leaf on that one, or it could be something like the Jet. But I'm a big fan of the Yoru. Yep, happy to see that one locked in.
And I think the Yoru has looked solid for Icy. He's played a lot of it before.
Even on like Bind.
Yeah, we heard in that post-match interview from Ethan as well. It gives you so many options, so much freedom. Hoping to see a stronger game from him, but he's up against the GOAT, Ospas.
It's going to be an exciting matchup regardless. Let's go ahead and send it over to your casters. After 5 straight days, one can say they might be a little eepy. It's Brent and Sideshow.
Yeah, we're just two little guys. We might be a little bit EP.
I'm not EP.
It feels illegal to say that when we are approaching the age of 30, to describe ourselves as EP. But yeah, it's nearing the end of the Super Week. Here we are. And what a match we've got to really set that stage, I think, as well. Because this is, you know, I would say it's a must-win for both of these teams. They're going to be thinking about it in that kind of fashion. Not in terms of eliminating some of them from playoff contention. Yeah. But if they do win it, it sets their sights towards playoffs. And I think for Lev, if they win it, they will make playoffs. For G2, they're in a group with some hotly contested teams. You know, currently Crew sitting at 3-0, NRG 3-1, C9 3-1. They need this win to get themselves that third win, so we can stay in contention of it.
The whole day today is big for LATAM fans because both of the LATAM teams are in a great position to get some big wins. But also, Sen fans should be rooting on for Lev here because G2 getting wins is bad for Sen at the bottom of the table. So all of these kind of things. And listen, one of our big stories is going to be who can shut down Aspas. Is he just going to run rampant? And immediately he goes down.
Yeah.
Mazzino baited into making another re-clear play as well, thinking that G2 would probably leave that area after they got the early pick. So, listen, this pistol round is basically wraps already. G2 are going to be able to get in, get the plant, and play a post plant in a 5v3. And Leaf, miles away, can connect on some kind of post plant flank as well. You couldn't write a better beginning for G2.
No, you really couldn't.
GB was asking the question, what happens if this team gets out to a strong start and slaps down Lev early? Well, this is looking good at the beginning.
One of the questions I had was that who was going to be shutting down the monster player that is Aspas. Now, Leaf,
wait,
is that? Hold on. There's a fuse. There's no shot. They're getting away with that.
That's a 5v3, and they're inside the Viper orb. What's going on?
What happened there?
G2, how have you let that slip?
What a problem with the snake bites? What occurred?
I mean, they've got...
I just assumed that was wraps. I'm not going to lie. I assumed that was wraps. It missed.
Oh.
The line that missed. Good catch.
I mean, Lev know that they've gotten away with it.
That's unbelievable, to be honest. Yeah, well,
I mean, if Tex was not already talking his talk in the comments, he's going to be after that mess up from G2.
That's right, the revenge match. Tex versus his former teams. But, you know, listen, he didn't seem too hot on it, the overall narrative. We're trying to shove it down his neck. King definitely was, and his team definitely was. You know, Jonah P's managed to go walkabouts through mid, and there's that gap into the play, which Con was unaware of. So he will fall and get punished, and an upgrade acquired for Jonah P, but dropped just like that.
Speaking of players in gaps, while this fight's going on, there's also Leaf all the way back into spawn has picked up Mazzino.
And so hold on about this is a 2 versus 2. Valen sticking his plans. Doesn't expect this one though. Aspas is spotted. Brooks player crossed up though. Valen takes the peek. Very much alone here, so it draws it into that 1v2 for Trent. Only with the Sheriff, 2 shot darts, Dart. Not really planted for him, so he has to just open himself up wide into the angle.
A nice try from G2, but early on here, we are actually seeing gaps in what Lev are going for. The fact that on a pure eco, G2 are able to walk a player, they make it feel like a big A main push, and they're able to walk a player double door and walk a player up mid into nest. Look at this.
Yeah.
Massive gaps in the defensive setup there. So, yes, it doesn't end up with a round win, and yes, somehow we're 2-0 up for Lev when it really should have been 2-0 for G2, based on how the pistol round began. But we are starting to see things that we've got to keep track of throughout this game that could be holes that G2 are looking to exploit.
Mid take from Lev. Holding down that angle. Of course, G2, only the one player sitting there. It's Jonah P looking to contain, and they're just going fast with this one. The Reckoning to set themselves up. Even the reveal onto King. It's going to be a bit of a sitting duck here. Jonah P could clean up, surely. At least hearing multiple footsteps. It's a hard rotation of Lev. Many mollies being forced out already just to try and push them back and away from this plant.
And this is going to pull out a little bit of the cove. There are 2 players that would die to 1 shot of Aspas as well. So there's still going to be this pressure to get the plant down.
Timing to take the fight. King, he's dropped Trent. These rifles are not really doing too much at all. They've swarmed the position. They've got them surrounded. There's not a single avenue that's open for him. Jonah P got to offset and contend with way too many players there. 3 in a row. The Leviatán.
That's lovely. The utility that came in to deny the plant for G2 is immaculate. G2's compositional strength, having that cove, you should be able to get the plants down a little easier than running default compositions. But we saw Fragment Grenade coming through, Snake Bites coming through as well. And it's quite reminiscent of the way that Lev were playing their defense on Bind against NRG, throwing stuff at those players, stopping them from getting into comfortable spots. And that's a bonus round conversion. The more that Lev run away with this, the more I'm going to be coming back to the fact that G2 threw away the pistol.
Yeah, what a massive beginning. That could have potentially been that early utility. Oh, it should have maybe set them up for a nice early fight here. Still, it's the rifles that do win out the day. So Lev, that 2-player advantage now. G2 are definitely going to be looking to slink themselves into some forward positions. Right behind this high tide. They've cut themselves up onto the left side approach.
Mazzino's picked up the back of it, though, so even if there was a lurk into nest, they have that trip halls, and then Mazzino's watching for any kind of deep play. So Lev should still feel fairly comfortable. They went for that push into elbow, and we're seeing a couple of teams do this. We saw the other LATAM team go for it as well, where your Cypher and Jet push out together, one holding elbow, while the Jet tries to get on top and get that really nice sightline into mid. And that's an evolution of the play. Prior to this version of the meta, the Jet was just doing it on their own, so you're seeing kind of the interplay between teams. And G2 now driven into the B site.
Got access to it, at least the first portion of it. Still, they haven't cleared out the backside players, which is left. So to be able to get this plan down, the question is, how do you deal with this guy? Right now, Aspas is online with it. Easy pickings. Trent just can't quite withstand it. Slev, they are really running away with it at this point. I know it's a half by rounds, but the economy is getting built up entirely now for Leviatán. Ults on top of it as well.
It's going to be a long time before Lev have to run any kind of eco round.
Yeah.
Even if G2 make a massive comeback. Trent, one away. Oh, yeah, got the Hunter's Fury online with the death there. So they might be able to make some kind of play. It's very common to combo the Euro ult with the Sova ult. So if they can get another orb, and this is the play that I'm talking about, this double walk down mid. I think it conditions the attackers into being very scared that that could be an option.
Yeah.
And Aspas has barely had to buy anything other than the Outlaw so far. He's now going to make the upgrade to the Operator, though, so full armor on almost everybody on G2. Not going to save you from Aspas's one-shots again.
Look to do some damage. Look at this early peek into elbow. Will anybody just walk right into him? What an adjustment and a flick. That was a jump spot from Icy.
Oh, that was so good. On Icy's extended arm as well.
This off angle is dirty as well if you're not anticipating it. It's rare that a Jet would really play up here, but a couple of stray bullets means that Trent does have that level of awareness. At least to push him back and away off that angle, but another first kill going their way.
Despite the fact they're in a 4v5, it's the positioning up here of Leaf, who might be able to do something. He's got himself into a very deep position over at Halls. And now G2 coming back to A, and they're in a nice spot to make an A split work. Leaf still has 2 cages. He can cage this off, open the door, put a lot of pressure on these players. Close here.
No way, just a dry swing and peek for that mid-round information, not set up with the util yet. He still survives.
Leaf didn't go for
that kill, and yet Leaf was not able to survive that horse lurk. This is just falling to pieces, rattled. That's how G2 are going to be feeling.
Aspas got shut down in the pistol round. First death of the entire map. What's the stat line? Oh, 11-2.
Oh my god.
Oh, right. So that was only one of the times you've actually been able to punish Aspas.
Yeah.
Who otherwise has been running rampant.
This shot's
That's absurd. Slow that one down for me. Oh my god.
That's an elbow.
And by the way, that's not a wall bang. Don't understand how. Don't ask me.
Pixel perfect accuracy from this guy. He's unleashed. And he's the monster in the server, man. He really is. He's the #1 checkpost you got to try and mark if you are G2. How do you shut this guy down?
In that round 2, Lev went for a wide swing and shallow swing re-clear into A main. It's dry, but it's well coordinated between the 2 players. And that was just to gain more information because they knew that they'd lost the Halls info. Leaf also doesn't cage, so Aspas gets that free pick over towards Halls, and suddenly the A-split falls apart. But then the follow-up was so nice too. Yeah. They recon flashed for Aspas to peek in when there was only 1 player left alive. Lev have been doing a lot of these defense re-clear strats. It ruined NRG. It absolutely pasted what they brought to the table. Breeze is a tough map to do that kind of stuff.
It is.
Look at the utility that Lev have to work with. If they want to do heavy defense re-clears, it's nothing like the Gecko Breach comp that they had on Sunset. And yet they're still finding opportunities to do that kind of stuff with what's available to them. Even throwing in the dry re-clear of A main.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a scary team if they've got the confidence to go for that kind of stuff.
They're just constantly being creative, inventive on the fly in these rounds. And they're making G2 feel comfortable to set up for it. And look at that. I mean, speaking about the comfortability, Aspas, this guy is lighting up the server.
Just predicting that people are going to be pushing up behind the cascade.
Yeah.
And he's bang on.
Sending the G2 players scattering.
And I was talking earlier about G2's possibility of syncing up ultimates. It's really common to have Yoru ult into the Sova, because you basically just Sova ult your Yoru while they run next to people.
Yeah.
Another big combo with the Sova ult is the Reckoning into the Sova ult. And Valen's death there will get him slightly closer, but he's still pretty far away from getting that one online.
And there's just no assail in these positions. Yeah, they are so damn sharp today. Lev not missing a beat.
They are looking like the scariest team in Americas right now.
They really are. They're the team to beat. My mind keeps going back to that pistol round, Joe.
Yeah.
G2 going to be kicking themselves for it. I hate to draw attention back to all the way, I mean, at the beginning of the round, but that's the only time where Leviatán have looked like they've slipped up.
Yeah.
And they've tripped up, but... Yeah,
and they just stuck the defuse and
just
won anyway.
The defuse and win anyway.
So G2 need to manufacture themselves a way of using these ults to gain themselves around. They're going to go for this fake play up halls. Actually, the gate crash here is committal, so it's going to be a real take of halls. Icy's somewhat committed. You'd imagine he's going to use his ult to disengage here.
What did he crash? Dimensional drift forwards here. I mean, somewhere the other side of the map, that's Aspas actually going down into elbow, and he's spotting out a few of these stragglers who are seeking to defend now this B side, but it is easy access for them, or at least it should be in theory.
A little confusing on Icy's ult pathing, but it's got G2 the site. They're going to pit.
Yeah, pit down. Tag onto the backside player. Shock darts. Rebounding. Sending in that long-range artillery, but Mazzino eager to not make any noise. Just waiting for the rest of his team. Trying to play inside this pit, and that flank attempt, well, it does pay off. Tex taking out Valin. They still have to deal with a lot of obstacles that are here, but that lights them all up towards the back of the site. Leaf is doing dirty work here all around the map and the site. Struggling, contending. How will have turning this? Jonah P.
Not again.
Last one left inside the pit, but this time the molly is correct on the course. And a spray down as well, anticipating that fight. That's a Red Bull clutch and a wonderful turning point for G2. They needed that round on the board.
That was a must win, especially when it got into that 1v2 scenario. Jonah playing it well, hitting the snake bite this time. The turning point in the round, though, was Aspas getting punished, so let's see how that happened, yeah. Just going for the setup. They'd heard a lot coming up holes, so Aspas felt like he was safe to go for a peek like that. And that's the power of the Yoru. You have the Yoru and the clone running up holes. It makes you feel like there's way more players over there.
Yeah.
It was a little weird the way that Icy was ulting from halls to B, but listen, they get the job done, Aspas, with an early peek.
Never go things. Hunter's Fury, though. That's a deep dart that was sent flying right at the beginning. The gate crash to evade the shots.
That's a rarity, Com not getting a pick with his ult.
Yeah, with those players lit up as well, there was definitely opportunities for Com to get some value.
So this is one of those times in the mid-round where Lev are lacking information towards mid. They've got the trip tunnel, pit B, and good info A. So it's really only in mid that they're missing info. So it might not incentivize them to go for some kind of re-clear strategy just yet. But if G2 can take a bit more map control, it might spark that initiative out of Leviatán.
Aspas biding his time, waiting for the right time to pounce here. Online, Mazzino's the one who has to defend his back here, straight through double doors. Maybe hearing a bit of a sound cue. Let loose spray of bullets. But this is very slow by G2.
They're trying to bait out Lev into going for some kind of push.
And here it goes. The go button pressed here with the drone through, getting the one tag, not spotting Aspas, but now they're calling him out. And of kills he's going to be able to get here, though, with a deep dart over and away. Clone dodged, juked with the cages, really just making this one hard to collect any sort of kills, but they are flooding in the direction of Lev for now. Updraft, dodging away and avoiding! What is that adjustment? Aspas right now will not be denied! And this guy is just flexing on him!
Delivering the 7-1 to G2. It's so ridiculous what he's able to do. But G2 there, very clear game plan, trying to bait out defensive aggression from Leviatán. But the problem with the strategy was they didn't actually have enough map control. You have to take away parts of the map to incentivize Lev to go and look for information. The only part of the map that G2 were threatening presence in was mid.
Yeah.
And even then, the trip was still up towards tunnel, and there was a player watching Nest, sorry. So if that's your strategy to try to bait out defensive aggression and punish it, you've got to do more with your default.
Cage triggered. This time everybody coming knocking though onto Texas side, the high tide. Again, it's used prior, so it's going to get them that easy plan, which won't be denied. They haven't cleared any of the site, and it's even the nade. I mean, Valen's just sticking it, seeing if he can get his team into a favorable scenario. I see.
Good timing.
Yeah, it is a good timing. Aggressive with it, but Texas right there behind! And wrangling control of the beast, it is that rifle. Making short work of these G2 players. You can send all the lineups in the world, Larry, but it's not going to be working out. There's far too much time on the clock, but that's a good one to find here still. Molly should land, but they know exactly where he is, and with him cleaned up, yeah, Jonah P will not be able to win this one. So just a bit of extra pocket change really with that plant down. Lever just in more than firm control, man. This is domination.
It is. And we're getting dominant rifle rounds into then G2 looking, you know, they're just kind of throwing it out there when they have an eco. It's got to feel like a good round for Tex to have, though. He gets that rifle advantage and he's able to bully his former team in back of sight.
One enemy remains.
Nestle trying to make something happen on the opposite side of the map. But he just hasn't been able to make those lurks work to offer openings in the round. You know, he hasn't really been able to provide Valen those mid-round opportunities. All right, Harbor Ult's overall, massive combo. It will ruin you if you try to anchor B against that.
And they will be knocking on the doors. So it takes to try and push this one back.
I think he's read it. Look, he's so far offside.
Yeah, he's just way out of dodge here. I mean, he's been playing in his backside position pretty frequently. Clone sent in, along with a dart. It's going to clear out most of the side with a cove into the choke, but they have to wait out those mollies. And, I mean, Lev have already followed these sound cues. Guess what? They've already rotated into position. Either for a flood defense, or now they can just start sending it out, but they're going to let Icy get this plant off for now. Gate crash. Back to safety now, into this post plant here. King. Thinking of corning, aware that Leaf is already just going to be playing tucked into it. He doesn't actually have any util or snake bite to clear it. Hunter's Fury forwards. Leaf finds that first fight with the Hunter's Fury as well. These players, they cannot stand their ground and shoot back. Lev putting it difficult now. Snared up into the sides. Aspas seeking that rifle. Pressing forwards now to 2v2, and they know exactly where Valen is. Dashing forwards, dart rebounding. It's absolute chaos here, but what can Aspas do against it, North? And in that particular moment, 8-2, G2, a second round on the board.
I really like the idea that if the Reckoning finds no pulses, they save the Sova ult for the post plan. I think that's very well played by G2 with their ultimates. But they had the opportunity to use these kind of ult combos way earlier in the half to try to make this an even one. And at best case scenario, it's going to be an 8-4, even if G2 win the next couple. They're finding their footing, but it might be too little too late. They've got Icy's ult to build around. Again, another one that can be extremely useful. They're going to start working their way up mid. Last time they got off by Aspas, but he's not here this time.
This time Icy just using the gate crash to get a little bit deeper into these angles. The dimensional drift. Got spot out and clear out. Almost the entirety of this side. In fact, yeah. It's free for his team to now take and get into the post.
One of the problems with Leviatán's retake in the previous round is that they didn't have people flanking. That angle is filthy.
Just sees right over the top of the high tide, so they assumed it was a safe plant. Not the case. Flash, peek, Icy in the back, but his anti-flash dodged. Zeno looking far too clean with the reflexes. 3 players. Leaf's going to have to do an awful lot of lifting here to try and make this one winnable. Such a large disadvantage. Now time is being played off the clock, but they're losing out these duels, and the lineup's still going to be played from afar already. Mazzino sticking, gets his half, and it doesn't even matter. No more players will be dropping. They're just fully aware of the game plans that are being played here by G2.
The snakebite also missed again. So even if that had been something, they're clearly missing some coordination between the plant positions and the lineups. It was a different lineup position, not one that's standard. We normally see people running the lineups from outside cave. This one was more towards Mir. But frankly, that's like a side note. It's not really what won the round.
Joking.
Wow. Just as the planter was about to be covered by the cage as well. They're running a double smoke comp with the Cypher. They have a lot of tools to be able to disguise where the plant position is, and yet it's not quite getting there. And now G2 come into round 12 with a bad buy.
Last chance to do something. Zeno not being faked out there by the clone, but I mean, Icy is playing anti. Tex follows through now with a Hunter's Fury. He's going to be chasing all sorts of kills. The Cove making it difficult, but well, the Cove will not withstand that kind of pressure. It's galvanizing. Oh, this is just ripping them to shreds.
Tex is such an eco-cobra in this game. He's running around, snaffling up the players of G2. See if they set him up for the next one. Can he drive the dagger into the heart of his former team?
Yeah, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
It was Com eventually that puts Jonah P down. A 10-2 half. Terrifyingly good from Lev.
I mean, that was fast as well. There weren't much slow play being played.
Oh, there's a speedrun time.
We have speedrun this. I mean, I don't know when we started casting, but yeah, that's
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, the fastest one that we've had so far was G2 themselves playing against Furia. 13-3, 13-3. So beating the speedrun record here for Lev, beating G2 would be amazing.
Keeping track of it.
Someone in Salt will be making a video about it.
Yeah, we'll be putting the category up on speedrun.com. But yeah, what an absolute blistering pace. Send it over to the analyst desk to break it down so far.
Thank you so much, fellas. I think, you know, in the streets, we just call that a good old-fashioned beatdown. Okay, that's what we're seeing. Only in the streets is it called that. But honestly, real talk, though, it all started in the first round.
Yeah.
Literally, it was just round one, and then that point.
Stuck on.
It didn't have to be this way. Like, it was just a massive blunder from G2 in the pistol, where they started out, they go up into a 5-on-3 situation, but they've got 2 players late re-wrapping and 3 players playing off-site. So it's just a full stick waiting for mollies to come in. It was just a disaster in a space where it absolutely shouldn't have been. And then Lev get this bonus round as well.
Yeah, I mean, Lev in this one, I mean, credit to them. They did a good job of getting some stall util, forcing that planter off. But consistently, that util was pushing the G2 planter off. And then they were going for these fights into backside to try and buy themselves some space. But when we saw these late round fights, it was generally uncoordinated, right? One player swinging ahead, getting punished by a Sheriff, getting punished by Aspas. And I feel like that was a story that repeated throughout this half.
Yeah, it definitely felt like Lev made G2 struggle with their utils, struggle with their comms. Like, a lot of the util they were using didn't really make sense for how the round was playing out. It felt like they didn't understand the timings that Lev was kind of taking as well, kind of putting a wrench into all of their game plans. They couldn't hold down sites. It should have started as a 3-0, but it felt like they just started losing that momentum.
And because they lost those critical swing rounds, then in round 5, we have Aspas with the first op for the first time. Lev wins that. So then it's an eco round. So we go into the situation where every other round for G2 is an eco. You're never going to win a game like that.
On top of that, we're seeing these hard walls go up and Lev being able to sneak up and go for these flood retakes. They were constantly ahead of the pace, and they're in a winning position.
Yeah, well, now we're in a position, as you said, Mimi, where Leviatán could very well close this out quite quickly, and you might be talking to us pretty soon. So we're going to send it back over to Brennan Sideshow.
I prompted the question near the beginning of this game, you know, who is going to be shutting down Aspas as the monster on the battlefield. But so far, no one's really stepping up to the challenge. He's made this map look like his playground. Jumping around all over the place.
I think that's what makes this map pool so damn scary. For G2, that is. Because you've just got Aspas running around on Breeze and Icebox here in the first 2. How on earth are you going to stop that?
And who's going to step up to the challenge? Even when they do bring him down, it just seems like divine intervention that Lev still end up winning those rounds.
G2 with 2 players towards double door, heard Lev pathing that way at the beginning. And now, as things go silent, they're looking to go and re-explore. Valen and Jonah P here know that there is nobody in mid, but where have Lev gone? Is it towards the Cypher that's in halls, or the opposite direction?
They've lost a lot of control over towards B main as well, so there is that uncertainty. That's why G2 are making their way over towards B, just in case. I see. Good kill to collect. Pex the lurking player down towards halls, but now pretty aware of the fact that this is going to be an A plant. The dart. Lev are going to be using that to take that backside control. Com could definitely get caught here by this fast flank occurring right behind him. Yes, was unaware of the fact here, and he is going to be squeezed from every single position and angle. I mean, with the classic, how much work is this guy doing? Having to dodge and duke and duck away from these shot darts up onto the ropes. Jonah P does win that fight out. This is a great start for G2. With advantages to be found, and they are making it nice and clean. Aspas.
Last player standing.
Last one now. Try and push them all back here. Only 5 more bullets left, and there's no easy shots, no easy targets. Valen now sticking that defuse, and guess what? Not planned it for him, but the cove in place. It's a pistol round wrapped up nice and pretty there from G2, with some really, really elegant ideas of what they wanted to do in the mid round.
They certainly didn't have a great idea of where Lev were going, but it didn't matter. Because when G2 double up at double doors and then re-clear mid, no matter whether you plant on A or B, they're getting fast flank retakes off. And the cherry on top of that was that when Tex went down, the trip is disabled. So they then get a good flank onto Cop.
Let's go, boys. Go. Simple, simple. Starts with 1.
It does start with 1.
Yeah.
You need 1 at a time, but you need many of them.
They got a right mentality. They're going to even make that a possibility.
Jonah P getting hit by the knife there. If that happens on rifle rounds, it will open up a little bit of an avenue for Lev.
Wow.
Good awareness. What a sick off angle.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. Just anticipating the lurk up. fast on the play by Aspas. With him shut down, a lot of the danger of the eco round does go away. Lev now looking over towards this B side. Now Mazzino, probably we're going to be waiting for the knife cooldown. Leaf get tagged up by it. Oh, it might even go down to a few stray shots here. It's this setup that's going to be pushing them back in a way. Lever really quite keen and eager to try and get themselves into the side, but now different direction. Pivot out towards Albo.
They're going to know where Valen's positioned. That's one of the weaknesses, I suppose, of running the harbor, is that you always give away where you are every time you use that high tide or cascade. But this round is more to do with feeling out what G2 are doing on the defense. It's not like Lever really coming in here expecting to win. But you think about the way that G2's comp is going to work on defense. They don't have the jet. So if Icy does try to go aggressive, it should be a little more readable, a little less easy for him to escape. Here comes Lev.
Now, yeah, straight through. And the Classics doing a decent amount of work here, but it trips snarling up King. So no one stepping over the boundary. That was that B site.
So my point being that when you have that solo Yoru duelist, I think what the desk was talking about after Ethan's interview, remember Ethan plays Yoru on this map and has played Yoru at an astoundingly good level on multiple maps, but Ethan always plays it with another jet player. I think it changes things drastically for Icy being the only duelist, because instead of being able to play supportively, he actually has to be the tip of the spear.
Yeah,
if you wanted to do any of these defensive pushes.
I agree completely.
So it's kind of got to be all in from G2. And look over towards B right now. They are doing one of those all-in pushes.
Yeah, just trying to make sure they get the punish here onto Tex, whose only job really is to just stay alive and contain and call this one out. But with the high tide, it's misinformation thrown into the mix, especially with the clone. He's going to think there's potentially more footsteps, more bodies there than before.
It's quite cool to get Leaf into such a deep position.
Not only that as well, I think they were just trying to make Lev rush into a decision, potentially to rush into the A side.
And if you react into A, that's where Icy has the gate crash. It's well thought out. Do they think about Leaf? This is where the high tide was pointing.
Oh, it's just not expecting it. But yeah, great awareness from Tex, knowing that that was a slight gap. Had to be re-cleared here. Now Lev can make their moves all the way over. Valen, though, Outlaw in hand. 2 shots will do it. Volleys have to be dodged and juked and avoided and evaded, but not the bullets. Tex is just lighting them up right now. What a takeover and a round. Subtle with it. He's one away now from the ace. Feels like we haven't seen too many of them, to be honest, in the Super Week, but...
This is one of those aces where you get the 4 kills very impressively, and then the rest of your team tries to help you hunt down the final one.
They know where he is, Jonah. P shots. Landing. That is denied. I mean, Aspas just stealing it away.
Oh, that's brutal. Tex did such a great job at getting 4. He's playing against his former team. He's got 20 kills across 15 rounds. He's overtaken Aspas. Maybe that was the reason that Aspas stole the ace at the end.
He needs the kills.
He's like, all right, get down. Get down.
I'm the one playing for the stats. But that is insane. Yeah, I mean, just feeling just empowered, I think.
I swear, Tex has got most of these kills as well when G2 are on eco-buys or lighter weapons. Round 15 again, it's like an anti-bonus for Lev, and he runs him over.
Weapons out for IC. Trent's got a very long sight line to look down with the Marshal here, while Lever exploring into mid. Drone used for some of that information.
Heavy emphasis towards mid here. You can see the G2 playing it somewhat similar to the pistol round. This is what their setup was. Val and Jonah P. When they heard this movement away, they started walking into mid. And you're seeing a similar thing happening right now. They're walking forwards as Leviatán start to take A main. And this puts G2 in a position where the retake A comes from many different angles. Now, the difference was on the pistol, Tex also went down, so that trip was disabled.
What on the shoulder? Tex wins that fight. No left immediately, but Valen, what a response from him. I mean, just 3 kills toppled like that into the main, executing. And we talked about it. It was the difference maker last time. The double swing is lovely with the coordination. All caught to perfection, and rinse and repeat, I suppose. Mazzino. It's an ace on the cards here for Valen. Wall still up, he can back away, and he does have the spike with only 17 seconds to utilize it. Running short and shy of the time, so Mazzino Sticking the plan. Valen gets a bit of a run on, and there's the kill. Okay.
Valen's got to be feeling decent about that one, but they're still so far behind, it's not time to celebrate just yet. I think it's slightly worrying as well that they've only got one strategy that's working so far, which is this defense setup where Valen and Jonapi push down mid. Now, it's great that it's working, but it's such a single-minded idea on your defense that I think Lev are going to read into it real quick. It's a little confusing. They haven't got the idea about it even at this point when it came out on the pistol round. But I would imagine the brains inside Leviatán will be able to figure out what's going on, because it's whenever they go towards mid and then run away, that's when they're getting caught in the back. I think it's pretty easy to put 2 and 2 together. Different defense setup here for G2, not going for that same kind of play. The Reckoning is good to try to stop these sight hits from coming through, and Lev are going for an A split.
Yeah, wow. Oh, come on. Waves emanating out now. It's going to be catching all the players towards the back of the site and more. Jonapi, he's feeling that squeeze. Valen to the side, playing that anti-flash through the cage as well. Many targets to deal with. He is being overwhelmed here. Jonapi just can't provide that supportive fire, but the rest of G2 still alive and kicking into the 2v2. Aspas wasn't dropped in the midst of this one, and now he's going to be re-exploring up towards the stairs. Trying to take a good fight as well, but doesn't overstay it. Dart doesn't get broken in time. Aspas playing out of the position. Trent, what a fight to take. Got the confidence back with that one. Com would have to be ridiculous from him. And the fight to be an isolated one-on-one. Sova versus Sova. Got Dart, rebounds away, getting the info, getting the knowledge, the jump spot, an additional confirmation, and Com running round and round, but Trent is way ahead of it.
What a round from Trent there. He gave away his position with the recon dart and allowed Lev to know where both players were, just swung out on his own without Leaf's backup, but deletes both of the players he was taking fights against. I guess sometimes when you get outclassed as a team, you have to take matters into your own hands, and that's what Trent did here. Look at that anticipation.
Yeah, I mean, he's so aware in the clutch there of where Com is going to be playing.
And for the first time, Lev are going to get knocked down onto an eco round. And this also prompts the TAC timeout. Some time here for the coaches to come in and probably talk about the strat that was used in round 13, round 16. So that can be a small adjustment. But also, potentially, Lev looking to try some other stuff out. I think, to be honest with you, Lev's attack side calling in that round, the split through A, I think it was all sensible. They didn't quite have the most coordinated peek out through the cage. They double underhand dashed, but the dash from Aspas was under yellow instead of on top of yellow, and that meant that they couldn't coordinate a double peek out through the cage. Small details like that, you just tweak them a little bit, and the rounds will be even more going towards Lev, I think.
Let's see if they do make those adjustments here, because right now G2 are, stringing together quite a substantial amount of rounds. Money as well is just piling up, and the ultimates.
And that ult combo still exists, the Reckoning into the Hunter's Fury, which is massive, especially, I think, on B post plants, where you have those players tucked in ladder and boards that you need to clear out. A win here for Lev in this round looks like pulling out some of those defense side ults.
Repel them. That's what they'll probably be looking towards.
Listen, it also might look like Aspas killing 5 with Bladestorm. but I think
that's always on the cards.
Set the expectations reasonable.
Yeah. But you never know with Aspas. Everybody grouped up. Aspas is the sole player playing towards double doors here. He will be applying that extra pressure and squeeze through from the main players. They are not looking towards it. Hopped up, get the info. Just barely ahead, but missed out with the Bladestorm. Hunter's Fury will relieve quite a lot of this. Jonapido weaving in and out, but the Phantom Spray just can only do so much. Still 2 kills to donate over the rifle with him falling.
Toxins.
The plan down as well.
There's a fight on the flank.
What are we feeling? Worried about it? Yep, this flank potentially being hurt here by Leaf. Reckoning used to take this space up and scale quite fast onto the approach. King has already caught himself a kill. Already with that rifle that has been done in, and it only just being dealt with in the main angle. They know where Leaf is now at a position, and time ticking away. Despite being planted, Leaf is getting a move on here. He's not really being shy about it, not really obfuscating any sense of his positioning, and just not ready to collect that kill, so it's a thrifty win for Lev. You talked about best case scenario for Lev, what they were expecting. How about winning the round?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing with this team. They're just so good.
Yeah.
I love that eco round strategy, though. And to explain what's going on for Leviatán, it looks like on the minimap they're splitting A, but they're not really. They're making it feel like a full A main push. And then your Jet with Bladestorm is creeping quietly up through double doors. The idea is to disguise the fact, to make the defenders all look towards A main, and hopefully Aspas opens things up. Actually, Aspas just ended up being the distraction. And it was King overwhelming a player on site and stealing a rifle that ended up winning the round for them. But the strategy was great. Talk about making the best out of a rough situation.
Oh, yeah.
And G2, again, in an advantage situation, letting it slip away from them.
It's the trouble when you go up against teams with the on-paper quality Lev have. At this point, it's not on paper. They've been showcasing it past few matches. Is that you just need the extra element. Whether it's firepower to shut down those players, because they'll make melons out of you, man. They will force you to make mistakes. And if you make mistakes, of course, they're going to capitalize on them.
Yeah. I think, though, that with Leviatán, it's actually not even the on-paper quality of the roster that I've been most impressed with recently. It's the fact that they've come together as a unit.
Oh, in such a short, a short amount of time. It's a 180, essentially.
Yeah. Because, to be honest, they looked kind of crap in the game against Cloud9.
Yeah.
Like, that match... They were out of it, and the fact that they've managed to come back from that and really retool a lot of what their ideas are and come in with such a fleshed out strat book on their attack and defense side, very impressive.
Quite a short amount of time indeed. With G2 let loose that Viper ult, the pit's going to be covering up the main angle here. Lots of threats to worry about, especially with Tex lurking up halls.
It's a contact play up elbow and halls. All right, the Shock not clearing either of those trips.
It's intended for the unbreakable one. The trips are pushed a little bit further back. There's no way. Balls nowhere to run really here. It's a tight corridor, confined. It's exactly necessary for Trent to confirm that kill. With Tex falling, G2, you get that advantage here. What a time to do it as well when the weaponry wasn't looking too ideal, but Lever immediately just taking up all the space into mid.
They're making this again feel like they're getting set up for a B hit, while this lurk from Aspas and Com is very disguised. Look at the player archers. They're all looking at the site now, only just now thinking about the mid lurk.
And they've lined up perfectly for him. Com and Aspas,
so good.
They're tearing them to pieces. I mean, they were using their own high tide against them to get into that top mid angle as well.
Left.
Just a bait and switch. Valin really just seeking to pluck him apart in that mid angle as well, but he's not going to be able to get too much done now. Still, the pit will fade away. Jonah P, they've got to be aware of his position, and now definitely so. Dart just lights him up. Shock Dart's pushing him back and away. Mazina with the plant and a pit to play within. Should be a done deal, except leave. No! Just util out at a very wrong timing. Leaf now hopping around the place, man. He's seeking an avenue, a kill, anything at all, and he is making it look relatively fancy. Really putting that Spectre to good work, the jumping out, and why? But he doesn't have a right before it, and it's such a long sightline. Damage done to Aspas, updraft for the info, high ground angle played, 5 HP to Leaf's name, sticking half, already gained. Can he get it? Not quite at all. It's Aspas, shuts down that attempt of heroism, man, and so map 1 is going to go the way here of Leviatán.
The final round, it got chaotic towards the end, and Leaf did the best he possibly could. But I am massively impressed with what Lev are bringing to the table.
Yeah.
Those attack side rounds towards the end, where it feels like one strat, and then it turns into another. You know, make the eco round that feels like a full 5A main or a 4-1. And instead, Aspas is on the fast split through double doors. This round, they lose a player early, Tex in halls, and then they make it feel like a full B exec while 2 players lurk onto the archers, guys. This is advanced play. This is really good. And Lever pulling it out after, you know, retooling their whole approach.
dead impressive stuff from Leviatán so far, but early days in the series. We're going to step away for about a moment. Map 1 all wrapped up. The desk is going to break it all down for us.
Excuse me, would you mind taking a picture of us?
Oh, no problem.
Thanks.
Ooh, yes, problem. You need Verizon. Trade in that old thing and get a new iPhone 15 Pro with tons of storage, so you can take all the pics. So many selfies.
A preposterous amount of panos!
That means panoramic. And as many portraits of me as your heart desires.
How about none?
None, yeah, none feels right.
Trade in any iPhone in any condition and get iPhone 15 Pro on us. Only on Verizon.
Red Bull gives you wings.